Welcome to Litbit channel. Today we will see the poem Digging by Seamus Heaney. Let's see the summary of the poem. In introduction part, the poem Digging by Seamus Heaney is a reflective and introspective work that explores the poet's relationship with his heritage, family and chosen profession. The poem begins with the poet's father digging in the garden, which triggers a meditations on the poet's own connection to the land and his family's past. Heaney reflects on his father's and grandfather's physical labor and contrasting it with his own creative work as a writer. Through the poem, Heaney grapples with his own identity and sense of purpose, seeking to understand and reconcile his chosen professions with his family legacy. Ultimately, the poem is a powerful exploration of the connections between heritage, identity, and creativity as Heaney comes to terms with his own role as a writer and his place in the world. The poem explores the themes of first one, heritage and legacy. Heritage and legacy are central themes that are explored through the speaker's reflections on their family, forming tradition, and their own decision to pursue a life of writing. First, heritage and based on the poem honored the speaker's family heritage, particularly their farming tradition and the physical labor that has shaped their identity. The speaker's fathers and grandfathers are portrayed as skilled diggers, emphasizing the importance of manual labor and the connection to the land. The uses of sensory details and imagery evoke a sense of nostalgia and respect for the past. Then speaker based on legacy, the speaker grapples with the legacy of their family tradition and the expectations to continue them. The poem highlights the tensions between loyalty to one's heritage and the desire for forage a new path. The speaker's decision to become a writer instead of a farmer is a nod to the idea that legacy is not defined by the physical interference but also by the intellectual and creative pursuits that shapes our identities. Then Heaney explorations of heritage and legacy in digging, raising important questions about the nature of identity, tradition, and the power of language to shape our understandings of ourselves and our place in the world. Identity and self-discovery is the next central theme of this poem. The speaker reflection on their family farming tradition, their own creative aspiration, and the tension between these two aspects of their life. Identity based on is shaped by their family farming heritage and the physical labors that has defined their ancestors. The poem highlights the speaker struggling to reconcile their own creative ambitions with their loyalty to their family's tradition. The uses of imagery and metaphor emphasize the speaker's desire to forge a new path while still honoring their roots. Then the poem is a journey of self-discovery as the speaker navigates the complexity of their own identity and creative aspiration. The speaker reflection on their families, past and their own desires reveals a deeper understanding of themselves and their place in the world. Poet suggested that self-discovery is a process of excavating one's own identity, much like the digging that has defined the speaker's family for generation. Then Heaney explorations of identity and self-discovery in digging highlights the importance of understanding one's own heritage and creative aspiration and the way in which these elements shape our sense of self and purpose. Next concept is creative and writing. Creative and writings are central themes that are explored through the speaker's reflections on the transition from a family of farmer to a writer. In creativity part, the poem highlights the creative potential of the speaker who seeks to dig with their pen rather than their spade. The uses of imagery and metaphor emphasize the connection between physical labor and creative work. The speaker's desires to write is portrayed as a natural extensions of their family farming traditions. suggesting that creativity is a fundamental aspect of human experience. The poem is a meditation on the act of writing itself, with the speakers reflecting on their own creative process. The uses of language and their forms in the poem highlights the importance of craftsmanship and skill in writing. The speaker's decision to become a writer is portrayed as a way of honoring their family legacy while also forge a new path. Heaney's explorations of creativity and writing in digging highlights the importance of finding one's own voice and medium of expressions, and the way in which writing can be a powerful tool for self-discovery and connection to one's heritage. Then next one is family and tradition. Family and traditions are central themes that explored in this poem. In family way, the poem highlights the speaker's deep connection to their family and the respect for their ancestors, physical labor and skill. The uses of sensory details and imagery evokes a sense of nostalgia and warmth, emphasizing the importance of family ties. The speaker's relationship with their father and grandfather is portrayed as a key aspect of their identity and creative aspiration. Based on tradition, the poem explores the significance of traditions and the weights of expectations that comes with it. The speaker grapples with the decisions to depart from the family tradition and farming, highlighting the tensions between loyalty and the personal ambition. The uses of metaphor emphasize the connection between the tradition and creativity, suggesting that writing is a new way of digging and carrying on the family legacy. Heaney explorations of family and tradition in digging highlights the importance of understanding and honoring one's heritage. The poem shows how tradition can both shape and constrain us, and how we must navigate this complexity to find our own path. Labor and creative work. In physical labor based on, the theme highlights the physical labor of speaker fathers and grandfather, emphasizing the skill and dedications required for farming. The uses of sensory details evokes a sense of respect for the physical work that has shaped the speaker's family and heritage. In creative work based on, the speaker desire to write is portrayed as a form of creative labor equivalent in value to the physical labor of their ancestor. The uses of metaphor emphasize the connection between physical and creative work, suggesting that the writing is a form of excavation and discovery. The poem highlights the importance of finding one's own creative voice and medium of expression. Just as a speaker ancestor found their own way of working the land, Heaney's explorations of physical labor and creative work in digging highlights the importance of valuing and respecting all form of human endeavors, whether physical or creative. The poem shows how these two aspects of human experience are intertwined and how creative work can be a powerful way to honoring and continuing the legacy of physical labor. Next theme, the connection to the land and the past, is a central theme that should be explored. The speaker reflection on their family farming heritage and their own relationship with the natural world. In connection to the land, the poem highlights the speaker's deep connection to the land inherent from their ancestor who worked the soil. The uses of sensory details evokes intimacy with the natural world. The speaker's desire to write is portrayed as a way of cultivating a new relationship with the land, one that is rooted in language and imaginations rather than physical labor. Connection to the past, the poem explores the speaker's connection to their ancestor and the past, highlighting the importance of heritage and tradition. The uses of metaphor emphasizing the connection between the past and the present, suggesting that writing is a way of uncovering and honoring the past. The speaker's reflections on their family history and their own creative aspiration highlights the importance of understanding and respecting one's root. Then Heaney explorations of connection to the land and the past in digging highlights the importance of understanding and honoring one's heritage. and the way in which our relationship with the natural world shapes our sense of identity and creative purpose. The poem shows how the past and present are intertwined and how our connection to the land and our ancestor continue to shape us in profound ways. Next one is personal and introspective tone, which creates a sense of intimacy and vulnerability. The poem is written in the first person, which creates a sense of immediacy and personal reflection. Heaney uses confectional language, sharing his thoughts, feelings, and memories in the candid and introspective way. The poem is rich in sensory details, which helps to create a sense of intimacy and a connection to the natural world. Heaney reflects on his past, his family, and his heritage, creating a sense of nostalgia and longing. The poem explores Heaney's own identity, his relationship with his family and heritage, and his creative aspiration, which adds to the personal and introspective tone. Heaney uses a simple and direct language, which creates a sense of honesty and vulnerability. The poem conveys a sense of emotional authenticity as Heaney grappling with his own emotions, memories, and desires. Overall, the personal and introspective tone of digging creates a sense of connections with the readers, drawing us into Heaney's inner world and inviting us to reflect on our own relationship with the past, identity, and creativity. And sensory details. Seamus Heaney digging masterfully employs a rich imagery and sensory details to evoke a vivid experience. He uses the sensory language like potato mold, sodden earth, and cold damp air and to enaging the reader's sense. Then metaphors and phrases like the digging sound, squid pen, brown earth, and black soil creates a powerful image. Natural imagery grounds and the poem in the physical world, while textured language like squinch and sodden draw the readers in. Emotive language evokes nostalgia and longing, then connecting the readers to Heaney's intimate and reflective world. The poem's sensory details not only paint a picture of the natural world but also evokes emotion, memories, and a deep connection to the land and heritage, immersing the readers in Heaney's personal and emotional landscape. Next one is exploration and complex themes and emotion. In this concept, Heaney explores his own identity as a poet, farmer's son, and Irishman. He reflects on his family's farming heritage and the importance of honoring one's root. Heaney examines the connections between physical labor and creative work. The poem is imbued with the sense of nostalgia for the past and a longing for connection to the land heritage. Heaney grapples with his sense of belonging to the land and his family and his own creative identity. The poem explores the power of memory to shape our understanding of ourselves and our past. Heaney uses imagery and metaphor, creates a rich emotional landscape, evoking feelings of love, own identity, and creative purpose. Despite its personal nature, the poem themes and emotion resonate universally, making it is a powerful and relatable work. Then, of this complex themes and emotion, a nuanced poem that continues to resort with the readers around the world. Uses of repetition and metaphor. The repeated uses of word digging throughout the poem, which becomes a sort of refrain, emphasizing the central theme of the poem. The repetition of the phrase, my father and my grandfather, which emphasizes the speaker connection to their ancestor and the importance of their heritage. The repeated uses of sensory language such as the smell of potato mold and the stench of sodden earth, which creates a sense of intimacy and immediacy. Then the metaphor, the comparisons of a pen to a spade, which equates writings with digging and highlights the connection between physical labor and creative work. The metaphor of digging as a way of uncovering the past and exploring the one's heritage, the comparisons of the speaker's writing to the digging of their ancestor, which creates a sense of continuity and connection between the past and the present. By using repetitions and metaphor, Heaney creates a rich and layered poem that explores the complexity of identity, heritage, and creativity. The repetitions and metaphors also adds a musical quality to the poem, making it more engaging and memorable. Powerful and relatable language which has contributed to its enduring popularity and impact. Here are some features of the poem language that makes it so effective. Heaney uses a simple everyday language that imbues it with a depth of meaning and emotions that resonate with readers. The poem is rich in sensory details such as the smell of potato mold, the squelch of sodden earth, and cool damp air, which creates vivid images in the reader's mind. The comparisons of the pen to the spade is a powerful and accessible metaphors that highlights the connection between physical labor and creative work. Heaney uses of work like love, respect, and longing conveys a deep emotional investment in his heritage and his craft. The poem's language has a musical quality with the rhymes and the cadences of the enhance its emotional impact. Despite its personal and specific themes, the poem's language has a universal renounce, speaks to readers from diverse backgrounds and experience. Heaney language is honest and authentic, conveying a sense of vulnerability and introspection that draws the readers in. Heaney uses language springling yet effectively, conveying with much in a few well-chosen words. The powerful and relatable language of digging has made it his beloved and celebrated poem, widely studied and admired for its beauty, depth, and emotional resonance. In conclusion part, the poem Digging by Seamus Heaney is masterfully exploration of identity, heritage, and creativity. Then woven together with a powerful and relatable language. Through the poem, Heaney explores his complex relationship with his father and grandfather and the heritage they represents. Reflections on the transitions from creative work and the connection between the two. Means the role of the memory and nostalgia in shaping our understandings of ourselves and our past. Uses repetition, metaphor, and sensory language to create a rich and layered poems that resonates with the readers, honors his heritage while also forge his own path, demonstrating the power of art to both connect us to our roots and enable us to grow beyond them. Digging is a poem that has captivated readers for generations, and its themes and language continue to resonate deeply. It is a testament to the power of poetry to explore the human experience and to the enduring legacy of Seamus Heaney's work. Thank you viewers. Thanks for watching this video.